All right, time for a little survey. Do you enjoy Wooooo Nation? Do you want to support the show? Do you like making money? Do you like having fun? Do you like football? If you answered yes to any of these questions, go to DraftKings.com. What are you waiting for? There's still plenty of football to be played this season, but it already feels like the playoffs at DraftKings.com. You see, that's where millionaires have been crowned all season long, and it's still going strong. DraftKings is fantasy football on demand. You get to play where you want, when you want, and with the players you want. You see, that's the beauty of 1 week fantasy at DraftKings.com. What's cool there? You can challenge your friends in a custom league, or maybe you could just join an existing one to play for your share of millions of dollars in prizes that are being paid out every single week. With so much money up for grabs, every game is the big game and every play matters. You can renew some old rivalries or create new ones by playing head-to-head with friends, coworkers, or fantasy players from across the nation. It's really this simple. You pick your contest, you draft your players, you collect your winnings. That's it. Now, this isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings.com. Welcome to the big time. So what are you waiting for? Hurry right now to DraftKings.com and turn your love of football into a life-changing payday. Just use promo code FLAIR, that's F-L-A-I-R, and play for free with your first deposit in Sunday's $1 million fantasy football contest. Now, first place will take home $100,000. All you've got to do is enter FLAIR for free entry now. That's F-L-A-I-R, and it only works at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com, our oldest running sponsor. If you like the show, do us a favor. Go to DraftKings.com.
A man who wears the 10 pounds of gold, the nature boy, Ric Flair.
You know, I always like to take this opportunity to talk about myself.
The 16-time heavyweight champion has arrived.
I've got the style and profile like never before.
The greatest talker in the history of the business is behind the mic once again.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine like, jet flying, son of a gun. Woo!
This is Wooooo Nation with Ric Flair.
I'm the man. Ric Flair.
The nature boy Ric Flair, 9-year world champion, calling my main man, co-host of Wooooo Nation, as I am the host, my multi-millionaire friend in Huntsville, Alabama. I'm calling live from Belfast, Ireland, as we speak. Conrad, how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you guys are over there taping SmackDown today, but it's good to talk to you whether you're right in front of us or across the water, as they say.
No, it's not nearly as much fun. You need to be with me, I'm telling you. Tonight we're having the Fit Finley Open at the bar at the Radisson. So it's the Fit Finley Belfast Open.
Well, that may be the Open, but I know who won't be there at close.
Yeah.
Or in close.
Well, we'll talk about you heavily.
Well, man, we have blown up the internet this week.
Heavy discussion. What's that?
Yeah, I was going to say, you have blown up the internet with your idea this week, since I know you're over there, and this phone call is probably going to cost more than we make on this podcast. We're going to go ahead and do we're going to do a Q&A today, and Twitter is really excited, man. They really are digging the opportunity to ask you questions.
Well, cool. I'm on board, man. I couldn't think. I was trying to track down the Undertaker. Actually, Undertaker is back. They ran Manchester twice, last night and tonight for SmackDown. I'm over here in Belfast with the Red Group, which is like the Raw tour. It's Raw and SmackDown. So SmackDown guys are in Manchester tonight making SmackDown. That's where Taker is. And he's on his way to do something, which I told you about, that I can't let anybody know on the inside.
Hey, so were you there when Seth got hurt?
I was right there. I was 10 feet away and didn't know it until I was just telling somebody today that the last move he made was he gave the pedigree to Kane on a chair and I thought his knee hit the edge of the metal chair. And actually, his knee blew out when he powerbombed Kane through the table.
So I know
they were having a hell of a match. Yeah,
I know you're buddies with Kane. Did he tell you later after the fact that he knew when it happened, or did they not communicate?
No, he didn't because Seth didn't tell him.
I see.
Seth, after a couple of moves, Seth said, Kane said to him, "Is your knee okay?" And he said, "It's hurt, but I'll make it through it." But they should have stopped it right there. But that was just Seth Rollins. He is toughing it out. I just talked to him, and they operated on him today as we speak, close to you in Birmingham.
Dr. Andrews.
Dr. Andrews didn't do it, but Dr. Dugas did. Or I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, Andrews top guy. So
that's cool.
We've operated on many of the guys. So
Triple H and all those.
But Triple H. I mean, Randy Orton, a lot of the guys, Sheamus, Kane himself. I mean, he's had a bunch of guys come through, and he comes to WrestleMania every year. I'm sure you've met him. He's a wonderful guy. So, and Seth is doing the right thing. He's going to transfer the flag from Waterloo to Birmingham and stay there for at least 2 months of rehab, which is the best thing you can do. That's what Hunter did. Hunter just moved right down there when he tore his quad the last time.
Well, you know what that means. The
That?
next time you come to the Conradison, we need to take an hour-and-a-half road trip and go do a podcast with Seth.
Oh, we will. Well, you haven't heard the news, though, have you? The big news. Guess who's going to be 17-time world champion?
I really hope that happens.
Just keep that in a DL.
Yeah, nobody's listening. A million people didn't hear that. Yeah. No big deal.
I suggested it, but it just went through like a sieve. I said, why not? I mean, da-da-da, and I mean, I can get myself ready,
That's amazing.
And everybody just looked at me and thought it was an entertaining thought and then walked away.
Well, it is an entertaining thought. You talk about popping a rating. Ric Flair with a schoolboy right there at the end. Come on, why not?
Yeah. Well, at least they're not flying in John Cena. I'm saved for another episode.
Well, you never know. You never know.
I looked at Hunter last night. I said, why the hell aren't you in this tournament? He said, because I don't want to be.
That's
Being
a good
the world
answer.
champion in this company is a lot of money, but it's a lot of work, man. Wow.
Hey,
Aside from the in-ring work and the travel of the stuff that they're asked to do, for the charitable part of the company, which is considerable, it's a big-time job being the flagship, and Seth was doing a great job.
Let me ask you about that.
Because that's 9 months. 9 months of rehab.
You don't think there's any chance he's back in some form at WrestleMania, an appearance of some sort?
No, or an appearance probably, but he's. I think they're looking at him and praying to be back for SummerSlam.
Wow,
it's that serious, yeah. Because even though they say it's good, you're not gonna. I mean, he tore MCL, ACL, meniscus, and what's the third one? I mean,
PCL.
4 injuries.
Yeah.
ACL, yeah. So, it's a major. I can't believe, he didn't want to walk on crutches. He walked out of the hospital to get in the car going to the airport the other day. He's a tough kid. So, which we've seen him demonstrate over and over again as the champion. A wonderful guy and just a great part of our company.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see, what they do with this. It's unfortunate that somebody who everybody respected as probably being the best wrestler in the company is now going down with an injury, but unfortunately this is the way opportunities come about sometimes. So when a guy gets injured, there's an opportunity for some new guys to shine, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're going to do, just letting all our fans that are listening today know, Conrad, I always have asked Conrad to handicap or book his predictions for Survivor Series. So while we're on the air today, even though it's a week and a half away, we will have to have Conrad make his predictions from tournament victories starting in Greenville this next Monday right into Survivor Series. And I want to hear every Conrad's pretty good at it. He's batting around 85, 90%. He missed a couple of them, but otherwise he's real good. And usually his psychology, he probably should be a writer for the company. Some of his stuff's pretty good, guys. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I had one
So
a few months
anyway.
ago that you and I thought would have been awesome, but, maybe they'll save that for another day. But, hey, I think this is kind of like all over at this point, isn't it? Roman Reigns is going home with that belt from Atlanta.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
I think, well,
I mean, I
a few
know.
people
I mean,
know.
there's obviously there's a couple people that know, but I have no idea.
I think it'll be,
I hope he does, but
from a long-term storyline standpoint, which I know isn't always the way things are booked, it makes sense that, when one member of the Shield, the architect of the Shield, so to speak, fades away, the other two guys step up. So it would make sense from a long-term storyline standpoint for it to come down to Ambrose and Reigns wins the belt. But if you wanted to have a better match, and maybe you wanted...
Yeah, but, and that's a very popular thought right now, but what if it's Ambrose and Reigns and the big guy with the red hair cashes the Money in the Bank and walks out with it?
Oh, no, I'm all in on that. I love a good swerve. I love, a good chase.
That's in the wind, man. There's a lot of guys pitching ideas.
Well, that's what makes wrestling fun. When something like this unexpected happens, gives us all a curveball, and now we're all guessing. That's what makes everybody watch. And people are guessing, Are we going to answer their questions? Let's jump into some Q&A. We've got a bunch, so I'm going to rapid fire.
Well, here's the thing last night. Here was the first swerve, and they had a phenomenal match. Nobody saw Cesaro beating Sheamus last night. Did you see the match?
I did see the match. I didn't see it live. I was watching Monday Night Football, but this morning my buddy told me I needed to watch it.
It was one of the best matches they've had on Raw in a long time. It was great. They had lots of time, 2 segments, and these guys, they put on a clinic last night. It was one of the best matches they've had on Raw in a long, long time. Really, really good.
So, hey, I'm curious.
Guys.
Have they called 911 Naitch yet? Last week you said that Cesaro needed to call 911 Naitch, and then you could be out there cutting promos for him. Has anyone backstage mentioned that?
I've been pitching that. You kidding? She's the only one pitching that, throwing that strike is me. They keep catching it and throwing it out the back door. I don't know what's wrong with these guys. Cesaro.
Why not? I think it would be cool.
He's over here in Europe big time. I mean, the fans, they get it. And they respect his work ethic. And last night, boy, he and Sheamus put on a clinic. It was a classic. You saw the thing with Baird and the soccer player, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. A lot of people who are listening to the show in America may not realize what a big damn deal that soccer player is, but how was it live and what was the feel there?
The guy has scored more goals than anybody in the history of England. He's just 30 years old, started playing soccer when he was 8 years old, they said. And, Barrett leaned on him really hard. Oh, the crowd was going crazy. I mean, it was insanity. And when Barrett said to him, "What's the matter? You can't get in the ring. You don't want to embarrass your 7-year-old son." That's pretty good. I like that myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but as it worked out, and then he got a little shot on Barrett, and it was tremendous. It was tremendous TV. But forget about all that and the soccer player. The match with Cesaro and Sheamus was off the hook good. So actually, all the matches for the tournament were good last night.
No, I enjoyed. I actually checked out Kevin Owens and Titus O'Neil. I thought that was a good match.
Mm-hmm.
I was glad to see them doing something with the Undertaker. So, yeah, it was a cool show.
Yeah, it's Taker's 25th anniversary at Survivor Series, so that'll be another reason for you and I to get together at the hotel with the Undertaker afterwards. Maybe we can get him for a podcast finally.
Well, there won't be
any fun Undertaker.
I don't know that there'll be any mics out when we're drinking, but there should be. There should be.
What the hell?
Hey, let's start
knocking out. We're drinking halftime anyway.
Oh no, yeah, they're going to say you're drunk right now because you're in a good mood. They don't realize that before you just got backstage. So when you see Ric Flair on SmackDown, we're taping this as soon as he walks back through the curtain.
No, I'm not at SmackDown. I'm at a live show in Belfast.
Okay, all right. So either way, he's at a live show.
Yeah.
The point is, before he goes out there, Ric Flair's pacing the floor and chugging Starbucks coffee like nobody's business, getting fired up.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Be the
I don't need Starbucks over here. Their coffee's strong enough. So no, everything's great, man. What a great tour it's been. We've sold out every venue except one. So and the biggest night was we didn't sell out number 2 in London. There's 2. There's Wembley Arena and then there's a new one that holds 19,000. We did 16,400 live. So huge gate, well over $1 million.
I don't know if this is something I'm supposed to ask or we're supposed to talk about, so I'll edit it if you don't want me to. But were these paid shows or is this WWE stuff?
No, they don't. These shows are paid to get in. Oh yeah, they're not knocking down huge merch numbers too. Cool. I'll just give you an idea, and this isn't going to get myself in trouble, but they, just because I hear it, I don't even ask the question. They average about between $22 and $23 a head. So just do that times 15,000 one night. I mean,
especially when you consider what they've got in the T-shirts, which is a silly profit margin. So good for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. I mean, it's good for the guys that they make money on it. The company makes money, and it's we travel every night on a private jet out to visit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the work is hard, and yes, we put the time in, and yes, actually, I mean, I'm not working. I'm just, going out and talking in the crowd and signing autographs and stuff like that. But the schedule's like tomorrow we leave at, don't know whatever time we go to bed tonight, but we leave the hotel at 10 tomorrow, 11:30 flight, 4 hours to Rome. To Rome, get on a plane tomorrow night at 12:15, fly to Bologna. We're even check in tomorrow. get into Bologna at 3 o'clock.
Oh my gosh!
Thursday morning. Oh yeah. Hello. Yeah.
But you know what?
And I'm coming home.
You're in your element. This is as happy as you know.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way. I wish I could wrestle. I'm having so much fun with the kids. I'm keeping them. You know what? I'm even doing it, which is just a little bit on the QT, but I'm having to lubricate corporate cane to keep the monster cane running.
Yeah.
And then that's only happened twice in his career. Just a little white wine, but it eased the pain.
Wait a minute. The Demon Kane goes drinking with the Nature Boy and drinks white wine.
No, corporate, because the Demon Kane is in such a bad mood sometimes right now, having to work every night. He's tired of it. So I have to keep the corporate cane figure a little bit loose, just so the Demon Kane, and when he puts on his outfit, can be ready to wrestle.
I can't wait to see him again and bust his balls about how all Tennessee fans are drinking white wine. That's hilarious.
Oh, wow. You please.
I'm gonna bring him a bottle of Moscato next time I see him. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I didn't say he did it every night, but let's just say he's had a couple glasses.
Yeah,
I mean, moderation compared to a guy like you or me. It's still.
That's awesome.
Hey, Glenn, we're talking about you. It's kind of my podcast. It's keeping corporate cane cool. He said impossible.
Impossible. Hey, you know what else is impossible? Getting you to slow down and answer some questions. I'm going to try one more time. Here we go. Let's go to the Q&A. We've got some positive ones, and we've got some not so positive ones, but here's one kind of maybe in the middle. This is from Adam Hamlin on Twitter. He tweets in on hashtag AskNaitch. What were Rick's thoughts on dropping the NWA World title to Ronnie Garvin?
I was all for it. I like working with Ronnie Garvin. I don't know. Nobody liked him. I mean, nobody thought that we should have done that, but I was all for it. I like working with Ronnie Garvin.
And you thought he was deserving of the title and the push and the whole deal?
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie worked his butt off. It's funny that he was, basically, people always say that he was just over in the South, and maybe that's true, but, we worked a lot in the South at that time, and, I had no problem with that whatsoever. I like working with Ronnie.
Okay, so for a few shows now, you've heard us talking about the Survivor Series coming up in Atlanta. They're finally going to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion. It'll be the culmination of this tournament. They're going to have ESPN there doing some more shooting with Rick for his 30 for 30 documentary. Going to be a lot of stuff going on. How are you going to go ahead and watch that show? Maybe it's time to talk about a new TV. I want to tell you about Samsung. First, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite month? Is it July? Is it December? Well, how about the free TV month? That's what we're in right now. This month, when you purchase any Samsung 9 Series SUHD TV, 55 inches or above, you get a free 32-inch Samsung TV. I feel like that bears repeating. This month, when you purchase any Samsung 9 Series SUHD TV, 55 inches or above, you get a free 32-inch Samsung TV. Hurry, this offer ends December 5th. Visit our participating Samsung SUHD retailer for details. If you've been thinking about making the leap to 4K, let me tell you, the Samsung 9 Series SUHD TV is the very best way to 4K. It's the best TV Samsung has to offer, with Samsung's most superior level of color, contrast, and brightness, a brighter, more true-to-life picture with a wider range of colors, with its immersive curved screen. Every seat is a great seat. Plus, right now, when you purchase any Samsung 9 Series SUHD TV, just 55 inches or above, you get a free 32-inch Samsung J4000 series TV. Now, this is while supplies last. Want this free 32-inch model and any additional restrictions or limitations, see participating retailers or visit Samsung.com/free TV. It's worth repeating, though. This month, when you purchase any Samsung 9 Series SUHD TV, 55 inches or above, you get a free 32-inch Samsung TV. Hurry, this offer ends December 5th. So while supplies last, get a free 32-inch model and any additional restrictions and limitations, see participating retailers or just visit Samsung.com/free TV.
All the ladies love Slick Rick. You know they love Wooooo Nation. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
All right, so Rick is over in Ireland. He's on this long European tour with WWE, and you know what's packed in that bag? Lots of gear from MacWeldon.com, and you need to go check it out if you haven't already. If it's good enough for the Naitch, it's good enough for you. If you want to style and profile, after all, you've got to feel good doing it. You need to go to MacWeldon.com, and Woo Nation listeners get an extra 20% off just using the promo code FLAIR. What you'll find at MacWeldon.com is they believe in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. The website doesn't get any easier than it is. And here's what's cool if you're active like Rick is. All their products are naturally antimicrobial. What does that mean? It means they eliminate the odor. You're going to smell good. You're going to look good. You're going to feel good. They want you to be comfortable. So if you don't like your very first pair, you can keep it and they'll still refund you. No questions asked. Who has a guarantee like that? Only MacWeldon.com. They're a New York company. They live and breathe New York, and they're talking all your undergarments, underwear, socks, shirts. You're going to look good and perform well, whether you're going out, going to work, going on dates, just your everyday life. And now the details about what you really need to know about this stuff. The legs of the underwear are designed to stay put, meaning you never have to shove your hand down your pants to adjust the legs of your underwear. That's not a good look. The socks really are one size fits all. Now, a lot of socks say that. MacWeldon.com actually means it. They even come with a cushioned footbed. They're guaranteed to never slide down your legs. You don't want to be in a suit grabbing at your leg. You look silly. The undershirts, this is my favorite part, are made just a little bit longer, so they'll stay tucked in and hidden, keeping you cool in the summer. There's nothing worse than your outer shirt staying tucked, but your inner shirt coming out. That's not a good look. You're going to be bunched up. Not at MacWeldon.com. If you really want to style and profile, and who knows how to do that better than Ric Flair, do what Ric Flair does and go to MacWeldon.com. You're going to get some great gear, and you're going to get a great price, all by using this promo code. It's FLAIR, F-L-A-I-R, and you'll get 20% off your order just for listening to Woo Nation at MacWeldon.com. That's MacWeldon.com.
The greatest talker in the history of the business is behind the mic once again. This is Woo Nation with Ric Flair.
Here's a fun one coming from Twitter. This is from Tommy Hall. He asks, please ask if Rick was paid for likeness rights for Ashley Schaefer, which was Will Ferrell's impression of you. I'm sure you saw it in Eastbound and Down.
Never got a dime. Never got a dime. They did invite me out to watch the shoot.
You didn't go?
Within Shelby, North Carolina. No, I had to work. But I know he's a big fan, and I've never met him personally, but I've heard through other people that he's a big fan. And actually, that was just flattery for me, so it was cool.
Talking about the NWA title, we've got a question from Matt Wright. He says, who were the 2 to 3 people you think who never got a run as the NWA champion that maybe should have? Can you think of anybody off the top of your head?
One guy for sure, Ted DiBiase. I think Ted would have been in there if he'd stayed instead of going to New York.
You've said,
it's hard to say.
You've said Magnum
they were
before.
Grooming Magnum for.
Yeah.
They were grooming Magnum, but that obviously didn't happen for health issues. But I would say Ted DiBiase he would have had a definite run with it. Other than that, I'd have to think pretty hard.
Another question about the NWA title coming from Jay Riggs. Would love to hear Rick's opinion on Tommy Rich getting the NWA title in 1981. I never understood why he was over. That's what Riggs says, not me.
That's what I said?
No, I'm just saying he's asking what was your opinion. He said he didn't understand it.
Well, I know how he got it. Jim Barnett lobbied for it. Jim Barnett had a lot of influence with the NWA board of directors, and Tommy Rich was his guy, and Jim owned the Atlanta territory, and he lobbied for it and got it. But it was, I don't know if it was, I guess Tommy can always say he had it, but he had it for 7 days, so now, I don't know what that means.
There's the internet talk that's maybe not polite or is kind of ugly about a story about how he got the belt with Barnett. Was that BS?
Well, I've never heard that story, but I know what you're alluding to, and I would say totally BS.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any credibility on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those.
I'm not even sure what you're saying, but I've heard some of that stuff too.
It's not positive. It's not PG. It's not polite. It's not worth discussing.
Yeah. And he's Tommy Rich was really over. So make no mistake. I mean, he was a huge part of the success of the Atlanta territory.
Another fun question here from A Floyd 66. After Blackjack told Flair Linda Ronstadt was in town, did he go to every hotel in Richmond looking for her?
No, I went to the Black Cat. I wonder how that guy knows that story.
I don't know.
We went to the Black Cat After Hours Club and found her. Yeah, man. Boy, that's a long time ago.
That's fun stuff there.
Yeah.
He's coming up.
She was at the Black Cat. She was at the Black Cat, which was an all-night joint after hours place. So.
Did you stir her drink for her?
No. Not because I wasn't intending on it. I just
didn't work
she had
out.
Too many friends that were already in place.
I understand. A Floyd 66 brings another fun question. We get asked about this guy all the time. We need to have him on the show sometime. He wants to know, what's the champ's best Ricky Morton story?
Oh man, I couldn't possibly tell it, but we should have Morton on the show because he's got more on me than anybody alive. There are so many great stories about Ricky Morton, but I think the most important thing that people need to know about Morton is Ricky Morton was a phenomenal performer, and he was smaller, but he could work like a heavyweight, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was over with the crowd. The girls loved him, and he could perform on a high level. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes every day, but he could wrestle an hour every damn night, which we did a lot. He could really go. We wrestled probably 100-hour Broadways, 100-hour draw matches in our career together. And he's a great performer and a great guy. But he's wild. He's fun. Naitch and him got along good.
Did you? He told me a story once about you and Beth in a boat, and you going swimming in a suit. Was that the shoot?
Yeah, I fell off my own boat. Yeah, I'm sure did. and nobody knew it. Nice, huh? Just kept going down the river while I was drowning. Thank God someone turned around and came and got me. I was looking at about a half a mile to one side and a half mile to the other. I'd already had all my clothes off because I figured I was going to have to try and make it. But, man, we've been drinking all night long. I don't know. We were at a Ron Rice bathing suit contest party with Hawaiian Tropics, obviously. Jesus. Yeah, Beth was there, too. Maybe I'm not sure she didn't push me.
That's fantastic. Laura Jean Rock writes in, ask Naitch what it was like to work with Baby Doll, the Perfect 10.
Actually, I met her. This is funny. Her dad is Nick Roberts, who was the promoter from West Texas, in Lubbock. And when she first started in Dallas as I can't remember It wasn't Nicola. I forget what they called her. She was managing Chris Adams. But by the time she got to Charlotte, I mean, she had it together, and she was fun. I mean, I don't have one bad memory of her. I had a lot of fun with her. She was nice. She traveled with a rough team, and that was she's with Dusty and us, and that was we moved at a fast pace back then. But she was right there. She worked hard.
Oh, we got a great question from CLR Court.
And the answer that you want to know is no, I did not.
I didn't assume that you would. I didn't think that was your speed.
Yeah, no, but you were just dying. I'll just go, no, I did not go there. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you.
Somebody survived. It's good to know. CLO Court, or CRL Court, rather, on Twitter asks, who was the biggest star you ever met or hung out with? Have you ever met, like, Elvis or Sinatra, etc.?
No, I never met Elvis. I never met Sinatra. The biggest star that I've ever hung out with besides myself?
Yes, sir. Besides myself.
I'd have to think. About that. I mean, oh, my God. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a stretch. That's kind of a stretch to even ask that question.
B. Quinn.
I was told. Let me think. I think the guy I've had the most fun with, the two guys I've had the most fun with that are obviously big players outside of their realm, but in a bar and having fun, are Kid Rock and Mickey
Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke is great. He's fun, boy, and so is Kid Rock. Those would be the two guys I'd say are the guys I've had the most fun with.
Sweet Boogie 55 tweets in, if given a choice, would you rather participate in a Hell in a Cell or a War Games match?
Well, I would rather be in a War Games match because we could do what we had to do back then. The Hell in a Cell now is a violent match, but it's just not the same with it. I mean, I shouldn't say that because if you look at the one that Undertaker and Brock have of this, with just as vicious and just as hard and just as physical.
But they did some stuff that you're talking about without talking about.
Yeah. So, and that's just an assumption on my part. I don't know if they did or not, but the War Games was pretty original. I think that I'm going to always stick with that. That was Dusty's concept, and it was the Horsemen against four other guys. It didn't matter who it was as long as Dusty was part of it. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
And it could be the Road Warriors, Nikita, Sting, Luger, Barry Windham on their side. It was a great formula, and it drew a lot of money. And it was a lot of fun. But it was very physical, especially when Hawk came in last. With a broken collarbone.
Good times. Jet704 asks, if you never got into wrestling, what other pro sport would you have played in?
Well, I wanted to play football, but I was too small and too slow. And I didn't stay in school long enough to find out if I could or not. So, yeah, I was never going to be a linebacker running a 5.9 40. You know what I mean? So
right.
They gave up on that my first day at college.
First day.
You're an offensive guard, son.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Hey, at Brand Fester on Twitter asks, do you have any fun stories about your Mid-Atlantic days at the Roanoke Civic Center?
At the Civic Center or at the Marriott 2 blocks away?
Well, he asked about the Civic Center, but I'll listen to the Marriott. I'd rather hear the Marriott.
Yeah, the Civic Center was just a great place to wrestle, great fans, very enthusiastic. And, the only time we ever sold that out was me and Jack Mulligan. We came real close with me and Steamboat a couple times, but Jack and I, the only time it ever went clean. But the Roanoke afterwards, yeah. Hell yeah.
Scott James Ward on Twitter writes in, ask Rick what his favorite movie is.
Well, my favorite of all time would probably be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Somehow I found myself in that position of I identify with that character.
you don't get the reference, kids, go watch that one.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go watch it.
Warrior J85 on Twitter writes in, when Rick wrestled Shawn Michaels in 91, did he know how special a talent he was even at that time?
Yes, I sure did. We only had 4 minutes to wrestle, but I knew I'd seen him. And he was still in the tag team situation then, but he was tremendous. Yep, I sure did.
Dirty Shank on Twitter, hell of a name, writes in, what was his favorite outfit to wear to the ring? And here's a real question for you. Who's better, Nick Saban or Bear Bryant?
Well, my favorite outfit to wear to the ring would have been the blue robe from the Starcade. And then my answer to that is, I can remember when I was a kid, when Alabama was playing Nebraska for the national championship, and Alabama's offensive line averaged less than 180 pounds, and Nebraska's averaged something like 240 pounds, and Alabama won the game.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
That's awesome.
So do you remember that, Conrad?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like, do you remember what year they beat them? It had to be in the 60s, right, when I was a kid?
Yeah.
Maybe you can Google that, but because they just hadn't seen anything like that, a team that fast. Because Nebraska, back then, they bulldozed everybody. So, but it's hard to knock Nick Saban, man. He's done a phenomenal job. God, I mean, Alabama, to me, is going to win it all again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people...
say that to you.
That hurts me to say that.
That hurts me to concede that to you.
Well, it's okay. There's always next year. Bob ST01 on Twitter says, with all that Rick has accomplished, what's the one thing he regrets passing on? Was there something that somebody pitched that you passed on or you wish you would have done more of?
No, I think he's probably alluding to the fact that I could have gone to WWE for SummerSlam against Savage in either 87 or 88 and left the NWA. So, and I didn't. That was the first time we ever talked about me leaving, and I didn't. But I don't regret that, no.
That's pretty crazy to think about how different it would have been had you been there in 88.
No, I know. Would have rewritten history somehow, probably. But, I certainly can't look back and say I had a hard time, being where I was. I think a couple times I wish I'd stood up for myself more with the Bischoff stuff. The Herd stuff, I stood up for myself, and that worked for me. But I didn't have. I had more stroke than with Bischoff. He just exhausted me, and I'm not saying that whole situation just exhausted me. And I just gave up, and for the first time I said they want to give me time off, I'll take it. So
right.
It worked both ways.
Laura Jean Rock on Twitter writes in, ask Naitch whose idea was it for Ronnie Garvin to wear a dress and go on a date with Rick?
Dusty's.
That doesn't surprise me.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
With JJ. Yeah, it was Dream. Dream could produce a movie, man. He was way ahead of his time.
The Adam Q on Twitter says, I don't know if this is one you want to touch on. Rick mentioned some inductees in the Hall of Fame he didn't agree with. Is he willing to mention who exactly?
No. I
didn't think so, but hey, I ask. I'm the asker.
No, it's not, and it's not that. I just have my personal preference, and I think what I'm implying more with that statement is there are some guys that should have been in long before there are some guys that are in now. That's how I feel.
Oh, sure. I think everybody agrees with that. Hey, here's a friend of the show, Pamela Morrison, who I believe is JJ's daughter, tweets in, favorite story from the Hall of Fame in Tampa. If he can't remember the best ones, I can help with hints. Winky face. So I don't know what that means, but I think it's JJ's daughter.
I don't know either.
You got any good stories about the Hall of Fame in Tampa?
The Hall of Fame was in Miami, actually.
Oh, she's already forgotten.
God, the Hall of Fame in Tampa. No, I was. I just know that was one of the proudest moments of JJ's life. I mean, it was phenomenal. And the Horseman, and actually, I had Ashley and Reed with me there, so we didn't do much at all. I was, when that's before Ashley was even near the business. So
Right.
we just kind of hung out, went through the motions, and of course the Hall of Fame induction was nice. But I don't remember. I know she and I talked a lot at it, at the party afterwards. But
Right.
It was just a pretty normal night. It was nothing like my single induction. That night was a little out of control. My whole posse was up and running then.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Hey, fun tweet here from KB's 1976. Who's the best modern-era wrestler to never be heavyweight champion? When you look around the roster, do you think, hey, he should have been champ by now? Does that jump out at you, or not so much?
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying he won't be, but to me, the guy that, here's what I feel. I feel like Cesaro, if given the opportunity and had the vehicle to convey his thoughts, whether it be through himself or through a manager, which would be me, I'm like, you could get him ready for Brock Lesnar in 2 months.
Wow.
And the people would believe it. He's that strong and he's that good a performer. And he's that big. You know what I mean? You're not gonna bounce Cesaro around like a dart. You know what I mean?
That's a hell of a statement.
He's stronger. Yeah, it is. I think he could be a great opponent for Brock Lesnar. You need to stand him because his work is phenomenal. He looks like $1 million, and he's stronger than a horse in real life. He's really strong, strongest guy in the company, and that came right from John Cena.
He would know. Got a question here from BQuinn622. He's obviously a listener to the show. He's referencing something we talked about on the Austin podcast. What was the story behind Blackjack beating up Ron Slinker?
Oh, I don't know what Slinker said to him. We were in Birmingham, Alabama at the old, what's that, Boutwell?
Boutwell, yeah.
Yeah, Boutwell in Birmingham, and Slinker said something off the wall to him, and Jack knocked him through the door and down 4 flights of stairs and threw him out the door.
Wow.
Just before he even got into his karate. Yeah, don't make Jack Mulligan mad. Probably not a good idea.
2 good questions here from Anonymous on Twitter. One of our biggest fans there in Ireland. He was actually at the show when Seth got hurt, so he's a big-time listener, tweets about the show almost every day. He writes in, what's the most Rick ever spent on a robe? I've heard $10,000. Also, how many does he have left, or how many does he have now?
The most I ever spent on one was $15,000.
Which one was that?
Which is the one I wore. The one I wore that's in the Smithsonian.
Okay, so your last match with Sean.
16. Yep, and then the average price of them was around $10,000 over my career, and I have 3 left in storage. Yep, I had 5. I had 6 left, but then one of my ex-wives departed with 3 of them. So we don't need to mention her name, Tiffany. Conrad, do we?
No, we don't. Anonymous on Twitter writes in, on the plane crash, why the move with Valentine? Does he believe in fate, and does he have any contact with Valentine now?
The Valentine's gone. He passed away.
I think he means Greg. I think he means, do you still stay in touch with the old man's son, Greg?
Oh, yeah, I see Greg. I see Greg all the time, but we don't talk about John at all.
Right.
I've seen Greg 3 or 4 times in the last year, so... But it doesn't. We didn't talk about John. Last time I saw him, we talked about Piper because they were close,
Right.
So, yeah. No, not much contact about John.
We got a lot of questions about Bob Backlund.
Are they talking about the move where they moved him from Duke to Houston? Is that the move?
I think
which was a big deal.
I think the reference was. There's a story out there that when you guys were on the plane crash, for some reason, you guys traded seats or moved seats. People weren't sitting in their normal position when the plane went down. And some of the folks...
Oh, no, that's not true. He out of seniority, everybody wanted to be in the co-pilot seat, had the most legroom. The other seats, John could have never gotten another seat. I've heard that story, too. Because John's knees were shot. He could have never... Those the last 2 rows were... In fact, it almost is claustrophobic in a small plane. It's sitting in 2nd and 3rd row. because it's so small back there, you know. But John, he was in the cat daddy seat. He just didn't have a seatbelt on, you know. So, which we're all guilty of doing that at one time or another.
Sure. Heel from birth.
When they got Valentine out of the plane, he was up to his armpits
Right.
you know, so they had to pull him from his armpits out of the dashboard because he didn't have a seatbelt on.
That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at Play.it.
Chael Fan on Twitter writes in, and we got different variations of this same question. I mentioned this to you briefly. Bob Backlund wrote about in his book, which is a very good book. If you're a wrestling fan and you haven't picked it up, you should. He talks about one night when he was WWF champion and you were the NWA champion. He was doing a show where the Crockett's were there, and he felt like something was up. He felt like something was off, and there was concern, at least in his mind, that there may have been some sort of a talk of a unification or a screw job or something going on, and now people want to know what's your take on that match, that night.
Absolutely not.
So that was never anything you were even talked to about.
No, and I couldn't have handled Bob back on my best day if that had been a thought process. So I didn't think we had a very good match. It was in Atlanta, and you know, it's even like at first when we first brought Hulk to Atlanta. They in the South, they didn't know anything about the WWF.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it was a real struggle. That was just Barnett and Vince Senior doing something. But we didn't have a good match at all. It was an hour long. It was one of those deals. It wasn't like he was a red hot baby face and I was a hot heel. It was just like I was out there wrestling someone I didn't know. But yeah, he works hard. He always works hard. So. But without an angle back then in that town with all the stuff they'd seen, it was just a long night.
Another topic that's kind of been popular on the internet in the last few years is Sting in the Hall of Fame. And Heel from Birth writes in, what does Meltzer have against Sting? Does Rick believe that Sting belongs in the Hall of Fame? And appreciate that he's asking this, I believe, not from a WWE Hall of Fame perspective, because we all know he's going, but from a wrestling observer, a more legitimate, so to speak, wrestling Hall of Fame. Would you think that Sting is worthy of Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame?
I most certainly would. Does Dave not feel that way?
Dave has not campaigned for him or lobbied for him, and simply referenced gate numbers and the way the company was doing financially whenever he was the top guy. And he makes the argument that Edge is actually a stronger candidate than Sting, and that pisses a lot of people my age off because we grew up with Sting. So there's this whole big backlash online about Sting should be in Dave's Hall of Fame.
Well, Edge most assuredly should be in every Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't know much about the numbers with Sting. I know that I don't know that he was ever positioned to be champion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like they gave him the title, and then who did he have to work with? I mean, I really can't remember that far back, but in terms of work ethic and working hard and that, I'd have to strongly recommend that he be in both Hall of Fames on my personal ballot.
Belt Fan Dan tweets in, does Rick have a piece of sentimental memorabilia from his career, and if so, what is it? And if he could have any item back, what would it be and why?
Well, they'll just have to understand that I lost a lot of my stuff that I was sentimental about through divorce.
Right.
Because everybody likes to grab hold of something, that, whether it's theirs or not. I don't want to elaborate, but, you know,
sure, I get
what's
it.
theirs is yours. You know, that's very simply it is. Yes, there's a lot of stuff I wish I had back. Stuff from President Bush, both the Bushes, a plaque that I had honoring me making May 15th in June, May 15th, Ric Flair Day in the state of South Carolina. I've got like 35 or maybe 30 key to the cities from all over the United States. Just stuff like that. And stuff I got in Iraq from the soldiers, not just all that stuff is just gone because it's, what's yours is mine and what's mine is it's not yours. So, but I don't dwell on it. People know I got it, so and that's all that matters.
Is it fair to say your favorite piece though is the Shawn Michaels WrestleMania Rolex?
Yes,
yeah.
That and the NWA belt, which I sold to WWE.
Yeah,
yeah. Who gets a Rolex like this? Everybody thought WWE gave it to me, which I wish I could tell you they did. They certainly have given me a lot, but Shawn gave me the Rolex 5 minutes after he came out of the ring. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
So, and he's got the matching one. So,
Ben G on Twitter tweets in, when you joined TNA, did you really believe they could compete with WWE? We probably know the answer, but what was your favorite
Hell
feud?
no. Hell no.
What was your favorite
and
feud?
You never heard me say that either.
No.
I wouldn't even go out and say that on TV. Are you kidding, Vince? I don't think so. What was my favorite thing and what?
What was your favorite feud, or who was your favorite person to work with in TNA?
Jay Lethal.
That's awesome. You know what? Somebody did ask about Jay Lethal and wanted to know if you had any good Jay Lethal stories. I forget exactly what the rest of the question was.
I had fun working with him. We had one of the highest ratings in that one match we had. It's a nice kid. I had fun working with Foley there, too. I mean, AJ, Kurt. I mean, I didn't have a bad experience. I wasn't crazy about working with Abyss, but that's, not just my style, But I didn't have a bad time there at all. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. I made good money. So I have no complaints. Sometimes you feel like you dilute yourself by doing something like that, but what was I doing? Just sitting home? I mean, it was ridiculous. So, and instead, if I'd been working, I wouldn't have got married twice. Again.
The question about Jay Lethal came from Michael Reed. He wanted to know what you thought of his TNA impression of you and how awesome you think it would be for him to come to WWE.
Well, you're asking the wrong guy because I think he has a ton of talent. I don't know how much exposure he's had or what they think is. There can't be a negative about him personally because he's a very entertaining guy, funny. I mean, you've heard him talk.
Sure.
I don't know what the problem is. Isn't he the champion now somewhere else?
Yeah, he's the Ring of Honor champion, or at least he was very recently. He was a very long-reigning champion there and did real well for him. Yeah,
no, he's a great kid, too. I mean, really a good kid. So I'd be all about it.
Pedigree123, great name on Twitter, writes in, 3 guys past or present that you have, so he's got 3 questions here, and you're going to, it's kind of like the politically correct version of F, Marry, Kill, I guess. You're going to pick guys that you can, A, work 60 minutes with, B, this is a second guy, drive 10 hours with, and C, this is a third guy, hit the bar with. Who would you work 60 minutes with if you had your pick? Anybody.
In WWE?
Or anybody, anywhere.
Oh, I thought you were talking about right now. Well, God, you answered. Let me see. Would I work 60 minutes with Ricky Steamboat?
I thought so.
Would I travel
10
hours with and go to the bar with Arn?
So Arn is 2 and 3. Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's not hard to answer.
Jeremy, the MVP, writes in, do you have any fun stories of Dutch Mantel? Besides the Lex Luger story.
Really don't. No, I really don't. I mean, that wasn't even about Dutch. That was the Lex Luger story. But no, I know Dutch over the years a lot, but we haven't. I don't think we've ever worked. Oh, yeah, he said we did work one time. He said he blew up real bad, but I don't remember. No, he's just a nice guy, and he's got a good deal here. He's back. He's healthy. He's had terrible issues with his legs, so I'm glad to see anybody get back on their feet. So happy for him. Les
Freeman tweets in, Conrad always wanted to know how they did the cage door when Henning slammed it on Rick's head at War Games 97. How'd they do that?
So we did the same exact thing we did with Kerry Von Erich in Dallas. We built that bar, that sliding bar that falls down like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
We built that, made it an inch longer so that when it closed, it just an inch doesn't look like anything. You know what I mean? It literally it came within an inch of actually smashing my head.
And didn't you do?
We practiced it a few times. Trust me.
Sure.
It's still hard to hold still for that baby when they're swinging it that hard.
And didn't you have a surgery scheduled the next day, and they showed the footage, and it just went hand in hand and looked legit?
Yeah, it was scheduled. It was done, and then the next day they canceled the angle. People thought I was dead. They took my face off.
That's hilarious.
Why do you think I'm so damn handsome now?
Oh, because you got a new face like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta in that movie.
Exactly. Same gimmick.
AZ Express writes in, when Kerry had his run as champ, did he already have a reputation, and is that why his run was so short?
The answer to that is yes, and unfortunately true.
We've got another. We'll just switch gears. Andrew Hansen tweets in, what was it like working with Brody? Were you ever...
No, I think, in all fairness, did he have a reputation? Yes, but I think that he was supposed to be somewhere the next day when I went to Japan, and something got messed up. So that's how it came about so fast. Because I was leaving on a tour, not as champion. And pretty soon he was over there wrestling me for the championship at the end of it, within 10 days or within 7 days.
Really good question here from Jim Caldwell. Who was a better worker in their prime, Randy Orton or Barry Windham?
Wow.
Isn't that a good one?
Tie.
Tie. Okay, we'll go with that.
It's a tie. I couldn't pick one, man. They're both phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. But just two phenomenal machines. I couldn't pick one between the two.
Here's a fun one from John Dean. What's your take on Buff Bagwell? Do you think JR ruined his career, or was it Vince? I don't know if I should laugh or wait until your answer.
I don't know anything about JR. What did JR do?
I think JR fired him when his mom called in for him sick a few times, but I know that Greg Helms threw a water bottle.
WWE?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know those stories because I wasn't there then. I didn't remember. I didn't go up until a year later.
Surely you've got a fun opinion on Buff Bagwell.
Well, they almost killed him. You know, they put him in the ring with Ron Simmons and Bradshaw. They almost killed him. You didn't hear about that?
No.
His first TV outing was in a tag match against Simmons and Bradshaw. They almost killed him.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't crazy. I don't know what he did to make everybody mad, but because I always got along with him real well, but he made him mad. I guess he got kind of cocky when he got there, which is a bad attitude they have with those guys.
Randall Savage writes in, this is a good question. You'll like this one. One of the Steiners or Rick Rude? Who was tougher?
Who?
Who was tougher, one of the Steiners or Rick Rude?
Oh, wow. God, the Steiners were better wrestlers, obviously. Rick wasn't a wrestler. Rick Rude was pretty tough. I don't know. I've always thought that when he was younger that, you know, we used to make jokes about which one was the toughest. I think when Rick was, before he got banged up, the Rick could pretty much handle anybody.
Rick Rude or Steiner?
I mean, Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rick was a powerhouse. He could wrestle, and he was tough. So, you know, that wrestling, the guys with that ability to wrestle have a really big advantage over a guy who's just a street fighter, especially if they're in an open area.
Question from Monsoon Classic. He writes in, how would Rick compare working at Center Stage to the TBS studios?
Center Stage was better. TBS was really small. And there were the same ugly girls every week. Jeez.
I love you for that.
And they always showed them like they were my terrain section. Holy cow. Like about killing my gimmick. I couldn't buy enough suits.
Bick on Twitter says, when did Rick find out he was going to win the greatest Royal Rumble of them all, 1992, and walk out the champ?
An hour before I won it.
Wow.
Yeah, no idea.
We got lots of questions about this. Anish 9001 writes in, what led to the formation of Evolution, and what are Rick's favorite memories of the group? Lots of Evolution talk this week, Rick.
Evolution was the complete idea came about as a result of Hunter wanting to bring up some young guys. And Hunter and I were very close friends, and he said, what do you think about this and that? And I didn't know Randy and Dave at the time, and they got there, and Hunter came up with the name. We talked about different names, and I mean, it just was a fresh start for those guys, a fresh start for me. It gave me an opportunity to position myself in some great young athletes. And at that time, probably the best worker in the business, Hunter, either be Hunter or Sean. And I couldn't be in a better place. And we had a lot of fun together. Randy and Dave were just great guys to this day. I remain very friendly with them. And Dave, look what he's doing. His movie is #1 in the world now, Spectre, right?
Right.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And he's got his own brand going, and Randy has just been immensely successful in our industry and made a huge name for himself. He has to have surgery again now, unfortunately. And look what Hunter is. I mean, for me, I couldn't have been in a better place, and I had a lot of fun.
Chael Fan writes in, what was his relationship like with Buddy Rogers? That's a good question. We've never talked about that.
Yeah, it was good. Buddy and I got along. He walked up to me the first time he met me in Greensboro. He was all dressed out, tan, hair and all that. He walked over to me. He said, Ric Flair, and I said, yes, sir. He said, remember this kid, there's only one diamond in this business, and you're looking at him. Pretty good line, right?
I love that.
Hence diamonds are forever.
And so with the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, here's a fun one, and I can't believe somebody actually tweeted this, and I can't believe that you and I have actually spoken about it before. Toe Jam 1013 tweets in, did Rick ever witness Lanny Poffo's trick?
I can't answer that. What trick?
Okay, I like that we're going to do that, but let me just say for sure that Peggy, friend of Mid-Atlantic Gateway, knows the full story, and she will tell it to you if you run into her. So it's a pretty fun one.
You can do that. Don't put it off on me. Hey, what was one of the bad questions somebody wanted to ask?
Well, that was a pretty fun one. We got lots of questions like this from Mark Greer. What's your favorite place to party in Pensacola?
Oh, it used to be Cowboys at the Holiday Inn, or Rodeo at the Holiday Inn.
Barry Wilklow writes in, what is the most money he ever spent on a night out partying?
Me?
Yeah.
Wow. 10 plus.
I've been there when it's been like 3. But we haven't gotten to 10 yet. We're building it up.
That's because that's just you and me. We had 10 people with us, it would be 10. But we had 10 people with us like we did in the old days, it would be 30. Are you kidding me?
That's amazing.
Do you realize you drink 2 bottles of Crown Royal by yourself?
I do. Yes, sir.
That's probably $1,500 right there in drink. What are they, $15 a piece?
Yeah, there's something like, the ones I do are $15. Yeah. Rob R. writes in, ask about the TBS Studio Tech Woods tapings. What time of day was the taping? I have no idea why he wants to know that.
10 o'clock in the morning till noon. Just time to get home at 5 a.m., take a shower, get a cup of coffee, and be at work.
Matt writes in, there are a few matches in Rick's career where he decided to only wear one knee pad. Why would he do that?
Because I probably lost the other one the night before.
That's what I thought you'd say. Judd on Twitter writes in,
I would say, honey, if I can wear my knee pads, you can have one.
Oh my gosh! So if you see one knee pad, just one by itself, a solo on eBay, you know where she got it, fellas.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
You know. Big Papa Chuck tweets in, would love to hear some Jimmy Valiant stories. We've never talked about that, but by gosh, there's got to be some good Jimmy Valiant stories.
God, not with me, though. I didn't know. I never went out with Jimmy. I worked with him enough. I mean, but I never worked out. I never went out with Jimmy. He kept to himself. He was pretty quiet. So, I mean, he never came out and partied with us at night. I can almost vouch for that. But I worked with him a lot. Yeah, nice guy.
Jay-Z Hoodie tweets in, how pissed was Rick after Randy Savage bladed him at Starrcade? I can't imagine you're mad at that.
Was that Starrcade where he did that?
I guess so.
In Nashville?
Yeah. You guys did wrestle Starrcade in Nashville in like 95.
Yeah. That's where I won the title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with 13 guys holding them down, right?
Well, I don't remember.
Yeah, I was mad enough to tell him about it. Let's put it like that. in big red letters.
I always very much liked Ric's original entrance music when he first joined the WWF. Why was it changed? Do you know?
That was Sharp Dressed Man, right?
No, when you first came up, they had like something with more drums. I'm talking about when you were there with Mr. Perfect and all that.
Yeah. No, they just Vince just decided to go back to my original stuff that Dusty put together.
So who
I was glad they did too.
Who comes to you and says, "Hey, we're making the switch"? I mean, surely Vince doesn't. Does he just have a guy come tell you, or is it someone in particular?
No, he told me.
He
told me. I mean, I wasn't like wasn't gonna change my career with the music I came out to, but pretty much everything just went right back to normal. I mean, they always wanted to experiment, but he left my character alone. I mean, just and thank God he did, because I worked hard to be in that position for a long time.
Okay, Rick, I'm going to pop over to the Wrestling Observer message board. We've got a lot of folks talking about the show over there, and we appreciate their interest in the program. In light of his recent passing, did Rick ever get a chance to work or associate with Don Fargo? That comes from GN Wrestling on the Observer board.
I never wrestled Don, but I knew Don. Yes, I saw him a lot. But it's been years. I bet I haven't seen him in 15 years. Yeah, I never did work with him, but I saw Don. I was actually just starting in the business in Minneapolis when he pulled into town with that Hells Angels gimmick with the AWA.
Right.
And his partner got shot at that Hells Angels party. They almost killed Don Fargo. Do you know that story?
No.
Yeah, they pulled into Minneapolis with AWA and posing as the Hells Angels, right? And it was a pretty good gimmick on TV, right? Because that's when the Hells Angels were, a really a unified body and I guess recognized as being some real badass, right? So they went to Milwaukee in a house show, and at the house show, the Hells Angels showed up, and invited them to a party out on some lake. I guess I can't remember the name of that lake in Milwaukee, but I've been there a lot, but I can't remember the lake. And they got him out the house and they shot the partner. Out of the business, crippled the rest of his life, and almost killed Don Fargo. He was swimming like a mile across the lake to get away.
Brian 08 on the Observer boards asks, can you ask Rick about the deal with Rick Rude in WCW in 94 with him not wanting to drop the international title right before his career had the back end, right before he got his career-ending back injury? I read in the Observer that he and Flair got into a pretty heated argument backstage in Philly at Slamboree in 1994, and Bischoff said in the shoot interview there was lots of heat between Rude and Flair at the time, and that Bischoff had to go get the belt back from Rude.
Well, it wasn't about me. He was mad at me because he wanted to have Sting's position. I wasn't the one to give it to him. He wanted
dates or
Sting's
money?
Position.
Dates or money? Or both?
No, he wanted to be the lead baby face in the company.
Oh.
The face, yes, of the company.
Wow, okay.
And I mean, I wasn't the one to make that call. That's one of those things where you're sitting in that booking committee, right? You're listening to it. And he comes to Philadelphia and he's screaming at me. And I just took the sheets out with the ratings on him. I said, you're not getting the numbers, buddy. And he was serious. Yeah. So then, it was we talked about it on our podcast with Eric. Eric had to go out to the car to get the belt for him.
Yeah.
And once again, I hate to say it, but if we're going to be honest about things in life, we got about 10 wrestlers that got the Lloyd to London check that didn't have career-ending injuries.
Right.
They just decided to select the Lloyd to London and walk away. I mean, it is what it is. And I could give you the name of every one of them, and kind of like I had that opportunity one time. My dad said, karma, buddy, karma.
Right.
You should be faking an injury that, might really come around sometime in life. Because I had that inner ear thing, and it was, I had all that Lloyd to London. I'm one of those guys that I had that $1 million deal, and I paid all that money and never wrote off one premium, which if you write off the premiums, then the money comes to you. It's taxable. If you don't write off the premium, the money comes to you tax-free, right? So I had like $2 million coming to me tax-free, but I woke up one day and I'd been to the Mayo Clinic with my dad, Duke, and my damn ear was cleared up. I started banging my head against the damn wall. I said, what the hell? I'm supposed to get paid tomorrow. I called my dad and said, Dad, my my ear doesn't bother me anymore. He said, well, good for you. I said, no, not good for me. He said, that's karma, buddy. You live with yourself if you do it. I never got over that statement because all those guys, and if I gave the list of guys that put on the Lloyd's of London thing, you'd understand what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Karma. Yeah.
Brian.
One of them was Rick.
Yeah. I mean, that's gotten out there. I mean, I think most people listening to this probably know the names you're talking about without you having to run the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, it's easy to do that, but, it's just, and probably there were some that were legitimate, but there were a lot that weren't. Which is not my business now, and then it didn't affect me. What it did, though, was it disabled my policy totally forever. And hell, I could have gone any day of the week and said, examine my back from an airplane crash, right? But you didn't write down when you applied for that about pre-existing conditions. You know what I mean? Shit. It's like claiming disability right now. People say I can't, I'd rather be able to walk around and enjoy my family and be with all the kids than say I'm collecting disability checks, right? How cool would that be?
Right.
The government out. So, I mean, I learned that from my dad, karma. Something you got to live with, right? So when I go, man, it'll be, when I die, don't bury me quick. You know how the rest of that goes. Brother Bucket, honey. Okay. Okay.
Brian on the Observer board, do you have any funny Jim Barnett stories?
Oh, Ricky. I don't. He was a great character in our business. I actually thought the world of Jim Barnett. A lot of people made fun of him, but he had a lot of power at one time, man. And he treated me great, and he liked me a lot. So I was respectful, and I never, got on that bandwagon that would have made something less of him than what he was. He had a lot of respect.
After Dark Andrew asks, any memories on working with Nick Bockwinkel?
No. Did you say After Dark Journey, Now,
the guy's name is After Dark Andrew, but if you have a Dark Journey story, I'm intrigued.
I don't, but I've heard of you. I don't have any personal. I do know a few things about it. I've heard. Dark Journey. There's a name out of the past.
About white couches that we're not allowed to talk about?
No, not even that. and the answer is no. But I know a few that have. Okay, so no, I only wrestled Nick one time. It was an hour in Winnipeg, but it was great and delightful. I thought the world of Nick Bockwinkel as a person and just a great guy, and I learned a lot from him. He liked me, and he took me aside a lot in my first years in Minneapolis, my first couple of years, and talked to me, and just a great guy. And I feel very bad. I would like to go on record saying he's not well right now. And he's in a bad place with Alzheimer's and dementia and that. So I just hope he's in Vegas. I hope and wish him the best for him. He's a great guy, and his wife, Darlene.
Embry fan on the boards wants to know, you've been in the ring with both Ken Patera and Andre the Giant. Who do you think was the stronger of the two?
Wow, that's a tough thing to say. Within a 6'2", it's funny, on the bus today, I was just telling Cesaro, talking about strong guys in the business. I've never seen anybody in the business in my life or outside of the business as strong as Ken Patera, but I don't know how you measure the strength of
Andre.
I mean, I broke in with Andre. I don't know how you would measure his strength. But weightlifting strength, I mean, Ken Patera was just so far ahead of everybody. First guy to press 500 over his head back in 72. I mean, I've seen him push press 550 pounds push press off a rack over his head. You know what I mean? And he has, in competition, he's clean and jerk, I think 512, which probably isn't a world record anymore, but in 72, he did that he tore his meniscus, 2 weeks before the Olympics and had surgery. So, and still got a bronze medal. So he's pretty awesome. And he could dunk a basketball at 6'2" and 330 pounds.
That's impressive.
So what does that tell you? And a lot of people don't listen. He also made the Olympic team as an alternate in track and field and discus and shot put. He's in a shot put 70 feet. 68 and change
At
at BYU. So,
B. Cooper writes
correct.
in, was it an open secret in the locker room that Jimmy Snuka liked intergender shoot fights? Of course, he's asking a little tongue-in-cheek there. Was it talked about amongst the boys, or was it common knowledge that he had some incidents?
I never heard that. See, I wasn't with Jimmy when they talking about when the incident with the young lady.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly there were more than one, and one was overseas, and that ultimately led to him leaving the WWF. And then there's the one that's really come into prominence lately. But supposedly this is something that was kind of a theme in his life. And the gist of the question is, did the boys know that? It's just something that the promoters and everybody just didn't talk about, and they kayfabed it, or not so much?
I have never heard that. I didn't know that. But I wasn't with Jimmy at WWF. Remember Jimmy?
Right.
I started with Jimmy in Minnesota, and then Jimmy came to Charlotte, and then when he left, I didn't see Jimmy except just in passing, once a year. So I wouldn't even know that. The Jimmy Snuka that I knew was never that way. So
here's a fun question.
I didn't live at his house either.
Right.
So.
Jack Tunney writes in, not the real Jack Tunney, of course, guy on the boards. Favorite bar in Macon, Georgia? This is a popular thing to ask you. Where are all the good bars,
I've never been to a bar in Macon, Georgia. That town was so small I couldn't stay. I was too close to Atlanta, baby. I was headed towards Buckhead. Before my hair was dry, I was in Buckhead.
I love that.
75 miles to stay in Macon or go back to Atlanta. Now Columbus, I did have a good time in Columbus. A little different.
Question from the boards.
Wednesday night is a ladies' night somewhere, everywhere.
I'll never forget, a couple of years ago, you called me snowed in, and you said, my life is a movie right now. I'm snowed in, I'm at a country western bar, and I'm with Ricky Morton. That's the most fun phone call.
That was in Bluefield, West Virginia. You're kidding me? That Bluefield, no, it was in, Johnson City, Tennessee. Oh, my God. Ladies' night, too. You kidding me? Country music, cowboy boots, tight jeans. Some of those chicks are pushing it a little bit in terms of the tight jeans, but that's okay. They all get better looking at closing time. You know the deal.
I love you for that. Thoughts on...
Just another shot at tequila, buddy. Another shot of tequila and a cold beer, okay?
My favorite line.
I got to focus in on this chick, and right now she's not focused. Either she's not focusing or I'm not focusing.
Thoughts on Eric Watts? That's a name that we don't hear about very often anymore.
Oh, God, a name out of the past. I always liked Eric, I don't even know what happened to him, to be honest with you. To my knowledge, he still lives in Atlanta, but I don't know what happened to him. He gets it was hard following his dad.
Sure.
Bill was a big, tough guy, and Eric was just a nice guy, articulate, pretty quiet, basically. I think he tried hard, but I just don't think it was in his blood. You know what I mean?
Dan from the boards asks, I'd like to hear Rick talk about the lead-up to his retirement match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. How did they approach him about it? Was it more like, this is what we're thinking of doing, or was it, you're having your last match at WrestleMania and you don't have a say in the matter?
That would be pretty much it. But we're going to have some fun along the way. I said, okay. I said, are you sure about that? He said, yep. Listen, time for you to say sayonara, buddy. We'll have some fun getting you out of here, but at 59, you probably shouldn't be taking suplexes on the floor of Randy Orton. One of these days, you're going to hit the floor and just fall apart like a bag, turn into a bag of dust. Well, freak me up.
Which is different from Sawdust. Little inside joke there.
Yeah, Sawdust. Sawdust. That's okay. Sawdust. We'll do that on one of our podcasts. The Sawdust one.
Daniel Tubin on Twitter writes in, I love the old NWA stories, but I'd love some good Evolution Days stories. Do you have any fun stories that you're at liberty to share?
There's not any. Guys, I wish I could tell you the business changed that much. There's not any Evolution stories. I couldn't get a Hunter to have a glass of wine if I had $1 million. So it didn't happen. Now, Dave Bautista, I did go out with a few times. Randy a few times, but I was very conservative. Those guys, just both wonderful guys. Now, Dave, I did get him to take off his shirt a few times in the bar if Hunter wasn't around. But, yeah, Dave liked to have fun, too. But he's just conservative, Dave, and those guys didn't drink a lot, but if I could get Batista into a bar with the chicks, oh, yeah, we were in there. Hello, Miss. My name is Ric Flair. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I will be probably twice. And this is my friend Dave Batista. When you get down with him, I'm at 7:22.
That is phenomenal.
Or if he gets tired, just knock down the door.
Wonderful. Doctor, I don't know where I'm going here. Dr. Morano on Twitter says, I know it's been beaten to death, but if there's time, can we have some details on the plane ride from hell?
No.
No. Okay.
I've signed off on that. Sign here. Keep your mouth shut.
Kenny Valhalla asks, can you ask Flair to let us know how...
Sorry, buddy.
No, I think everybody understands what you're talking about, and if you don't, it's worth a Google. Kenny Valhalla asks, can you ask Rick to let us know...
Thanks, Conrad.
You're welcome.
Thank God, Conrad. Thank you for reminding him to Google me.
Yeah,
everybody's hero. Thank you.
Come on. He's famous for a reason.
What?
Tell us how tough Haiku was. You got some good stories. You told us one about in Mexico, and you beat up a bunch of the guys. You got another good Haiku story?
No, Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. Puerto Rico.
Oh, I don't know. There's the guy in Toledo, Ohio that's minus a nose, bartender. How many do you want me to eat? And he probably doesn't want me to bring these up, so I can just assure you that nobody, and I mean nobody, but nobody messed around with Haiku. Nobody. Hardly nobody.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. He was legitimate, and there's a guy, if you really want to have a good night sometime and feel like you're safe in Huntsville, have him to one of your parties for overnight. Yeah. And get him some Jack Daniels. Just be careful he doesn't eat one of the neighbors. That's the cannibal. You know what Arn calls him, right? The human Vegematic.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty cool nickname, right? The human Vegematic.
That's a hell of a name.
Yeah. Listen, we can't give these guys too much today, okay? How long have we been on here?
Hey, we've been on for a while. I think we're good. Let me see if I can find one more to finish us out here that we'll be good with.
Is it true about Cindy Crawford? I don't know.
How did Rick, you may not want to talk about this one. If not, I'll edit it. How did Rick go about preparing and hiding his blade to get color? I know the answer, but if you don't want to say it, you don't have to.
Yeah, that's been overdone. Austin asked me that 10 times.
Has Rick ever blown his stack at Vince, and if so, about what?
Yes, but he didn't hear me. He just told me to leave the room.
That's the best way to get. If you're gonna,
he did. Yeah. He did. He didn't pay any attention to it.
What's the
80s heel doesn't work here, buddy.
What's the most you ever spent on suits in one visit?
On suits and one visit. Whoa. Well, I'd be up to part.
What year was that?
It would be with Taylor Richards. It would probably be between 95 and 2005. I was buying a lot of clothes when I was up there. I've always bought a lot of clothes, but I was running with Michaels in Kansas City in the 80s, and I flip-flopped the Taylor Richards there in Charlotte, and actually better store all Italian. So, and keep in mind, $20,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're buying Italian clothes, as you know, Conrad, because your stuff's all custom made, $20,000 can just get you through the week. Oh yeah.
Well, hey, there's not a better way to go ahead and sign off this podcast. This was a fun one. We'll do it again sometime, and if you want to participate, you can just tweet at me. I'm on Twitter, at hey, it's Conrad, or you can just go ahead and hashtag Ask Naitch, and we'll get to your questions. Rick, is there anything you want to wrap us up with before we get out of here?
No, I just want to say thanks. Remember, we're live in Belfast and live in Huntsville at the same time. And, Conrad, I'll be looking forward to seeing you live at Series. Oh, wait a minute. I need your predictions.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Here we go.
So,
who is in the championship match?
I'm going to go with Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns is champion.
In other words, you're saying Roman's going to wrestle Dean Ambrose
in the
for
finals.
the title.
Yes, sir.
In the finals.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And
All right.
What's Naitch's prediction?
I'm going to say Roman wrestles. Sheamus is out now.
Yeah, so you're going to have Del Rio and Cesaro. Most likely, because
I'm going to say it'll be. I will say it's going to be Del Rio and Roman.
I can see that.
I would say Kevin Owen, because Kevin's getting a huge reaction over here. I mean, and Kevin is legitimately we only have a couple of heels that are that are actually heels all the time. Kevin's one of them. Stephanie being the other, and Del Rio's a good heel. I mean. But I would modify that gimmick a little bit too, but that's between you and I, Conrad. But, yeah, I don't think they're going to put Ambrose in, because I don't know how the crowd reacts to that. They're both kind of like fan favorites. It would be hard for them. I think they'd rather have a definitive good guy, bad guy, but once again, I'm just taking a guess. But, I want you to know that I have my gear in event. As of Monday, they need me to be at Survivor Series to hit the ring and win number 17.
Are you going to wear a robe?
Where?
To the
party
ring.
afterwards, or where? Yeah, bring my gold one, will you? And by the way, I got Candace the front row seat. How about that, buddy?
Oh, well, yeah, I got to tell you, she is full-blown obsessed. I don't know if you got those pictures, but she's got her belts like she likes.
I can't get any pictures over here, but I got, I saw the ones from before when but I got her and the girls the front row seats, so they're good to go. I figure you and I go to the bar network.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring a babysitter because I'm not gonna be in position to parent after the show.
No, we have a parent. We have Wendy.
Oh yeah, I love Wendy. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah,
thanks for listening to Woo Nation this week. We'll be back next week.